Bill 2339, that is expanding the crime of election tampering. And for an overview, the chair recognizes Revisor Heim.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this bill amends the current law to expand the crime of election tampering to include changing or attempting to change, alter, or conceal any vote cast by paper ballot or computer, attempting to change any vote by manipulating computer hardware, software, vote tabulation methods, or intentionally producing false vote totals. That's the bill. It makes it current law, which election tampering is a severity level 7 non-person felony. It's presumptive probation unless you've got 2-person felonies as a criminal record. I'll answer questions if you got them.
All right, thank you, Revisor. Are there any questions for the Revisor at this time? Representative Dodson.
Mr. Chair, you can, I can ask this later if it's inappropriate to the Revisor, but I noticed that KSA 25-24-23 had some language in there about imposters. Is that thought not to be a problem anymore, or should we ask that to the proponent?
I'm not sure I caught the question, Representative. Sorry.
Representative, could you speak into your mic? Thank you.
Yeah. When I read this, it referred back to KSA 25-24-23, which had at the top of it language about false impersonation. That is, someone who is passing themselves off as an election official or a party official. Is that thought not to be an issue any longer?
It's still part of the law. The current law says, while being charged with no election duty, in other words, they don't have any duty, but they're pretending they do, and making or changing any election record. So that's still part of the law.
So that's the same as the 25 used to say at the top?
I am not real sure what you're referring to. Are you referring to the caption on the statute or what?
Yeah, it just says it right at the top of 25-24-23.
Let me look real quick. I think you're referring to a caption.
Move along and come back to that. That's fine with
me. Chair recognizes Representative Miller.
Mr. Chairman, I'm looking at the actual statute, and it's one sentence. Election tampering is while being charged with no election duty, making or changing any election record. There's nothing in that current statute about impersonation. I think you may be on a different statute. There's one right after that, 24-24, that talks about false impersonation as party officer.
That's probably it.
Yeah, 24-23 has no impersonation language in it.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any further questions for the Revisor at this time? Seeing none, thank you, Revisor Heim. Chair will go ahead and open up the proponents section of House Bill 2339. And for the proponents, the chair recognizes Representative John Topliker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. House Bill 2339, as you heard from Mr. Heim, just expands the election crime of tampering. And what I've attempted to do here is to actually give more definition to the law and refine it and sort of bring it up to date in a way. And so, as Mr. Heim pointed out, you can see in the bill, if you have it in front of you, that the number 1 in parentheses is current law, and then when you get into 2, 3, and 4, those are the changes. It talks about changing or attempting to change, alter, or conceal any vote cast by either paper or on an election machine or computer system. And then number 3 is actually changing or attempting to change any vote by manipulating computer hardware, software, or vote tabulation machines, methods, and then intentionally, number 4 is intentionally producing false vote totals. And then B, right under that, is the same as it was before with a severity level 7 non-person felony. So basically that's the bill. It's a short bill, simple bill, trying to bring more definition and up to date, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Well, you know what they say about simple bills around this place. I mean, we thought the OA bill was simple, but
Right. We like sausage,
yes.
sometimes eggs with sausage too. So,
Okay, you do have questions, so the chair recognizes Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Toplicker. This looks like a good bill. However, as you were describing it, you used language that's not in the bill, which frankly, it looks to me like we need to have in there. You used the term election machine, and I would think that there probably are election machines that are not necessarily computers. So would it, maybe this is a question for the reviser, but would it cause any problem if we added election machine to the list of things you can't monkey with? I think that's what you intended, because like I said, twice in the description you used the term election machine, but it's not here.
Mr. Chairman, that election machine, I think, would be a good addition.
Mr. Chairman, did he say that was a good addition? I couldn't hear it exactly.
The reviser said that would probably be a good addition to the bill.
Okay, and so yeah, Representative Miller, I'm totally open to that. I mean, unless it's found somewhere else in the law, I was just attempting to expand and more define the tampering. And you're right. I mean, definitely I want to cover machines if it's not already in the law. And also, let's see. I also had an original idea for this that I thought about, and then when it was drafted, it wasn't, the language wasn't put in here. And that was that I also thought about cellular transmission or wireless. I think, did we get the word wireless in here? I think, no, we didn't get wireless in here. So that was another idea that I thought if we go down the road of doing amendments to this, we might consider adding wireless transmission or wireless cellular tampering. I don't know. We don't really know what the future will bring as far as all of this stuff goes when it comes to paper and machines. So
The chair re-recognizes Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now you lost me, but I'm not a high-tech guy. Can you give me an example of what you're talking about, how tampering would work with wireless?
I'm actually not a high-tech guy either. And I'm trying to think of the future, think of every means that's out there, possibly that we can transmit wirelessly votes or take votes away. I don't know. So I'm just throwing that out there. If we get into amending and adding, then maybe that's on the table too. So,
Thank you.
Are there further questions for Representative Dotson?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just in response, I know when Secretary of State came to brief, one of the things that they emphasized was that there could be no electronic transmission coming from any voting machine. So we just may want to manipulate that language. I think it's a great idea, but so nothing can come out through an outlet or any other means, and that would include, my understanding is wireless, but we'll have to get the language right.
right, and that is getting into some more technicality that I'm not sure. That may be a different bill, a different section of the law. This one is just pretty refined to the crime of election tampering. So, but yeah, there possibly needs to be some better oversight and tightening up, and maybe with some of the contracts with vendors that counties have on the machines, that maybe to sign some sort of a document that that somehow swears that they can't be, that votes cannot be transmitted over the internet, something like that.
All right, Representative Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Topliker, I just had a couple quick questions. I'm assuming the intent of this is for affecting other people's votes, right? So what you're trying to prevent is me as an individual or someone else as an individual tampering with your vote or someone else's. Am I getting your intent correct on that?
Just trying to protect the actual vote, trying to protect the integrity of the system, to protect the sanctity of the vote and the trust in the system. So, yeah.
Well, that's what I assumed, and this is probably nitpicking, but I'm just looking at one of the written testimonies we got neutral and want to address something on there. This is from the Loud Light group, but it brought up concern that we use the word concealing. I'm assuming your intent is not, if I'm going out, if for some reason I have to vote provisionally and I'm, concealing that as I'm filling it out, that's not tampering, right? It would be if I somehow had access to your ballot and was concealing it so it wasn't counted. I think I understand your intent, and this might be we might be getting too far in the weeds here, but I just want to make sure what Mr. Hammett has highlighted is not actually something we're trying to ban. His concern was if we use the word concealing, that, just trying to fill your ballot out in secret could be considered concealing a ballot. And then I think the other thing that he mentioned was if you if you mismark up your own ballot and you spoil it intentionally and then vote provisionally, does that count as, trying to change or alter a vote? I don't think that's your intent, but I just wanted to flag those as we consider possible amendments to tighten language.
Mr. Chairman, I think the current law takes care of that. It's spelled out in number 1 in parentheses that an election worker is not part of this. So if there's an election, and Mr. Heim can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks to me like the current laws removes someone from helping or assisting at the election office with someone filling out their ballot. And it looks like that line, number 1, while being charged with an election duty, making or changing any election record, that looks like that sort of addresses your concern there, Representative.
Mr. Chair, may I follow up quickly?
Proceed.
My concern was someone potentially getting themselves in trouble, not an election worker, right? So if they are concealing their ballot, their paper ballot, while they fill it out, they have not violated the terms of this bill. Or if they make a mistake on a mail ballot and they want to have that spoiled and then vote a provisional, I mean, technically that could be considered they are trying to alter or change a vote, but I'm assuming if they're trying to do that for their own vote, we don't consider them to be tampering with the election in that case.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Okay, and that's what I thought. We're probably getting in the weeds here on the language, but I had just seen that in the written testimony and wanted to bring that up as we're talking about, potential ways we might tweak the language to make sure we really get at the heart of it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair recognizes Representative Smith.
Mr. Chair, on that same line 10, conceal, having a general and 2 colonels in there, I always hear where military votes are sometimes not turned in properly. Do you have any ideas on that, or do you feel comfortable that they are done correctly?
I'm not sure what that issue is, that you say that sometimes you hear that military votes aren't submitted correctly and counted.
Well, I've just heard, again, just watching the news, they'll say there's a bundle of ballots out in the trash and there are military votes. I didn't know if we felt like that was a problem or not, which would be concealing votes. And I'm just throwing that out, just out of interest.
Mr. Chairman, on that note, I think that would come under intentionally concealing, and I think that would fall under this if someone was out there trying to hide votes. And